Hello, here is your astrology chart. And we're going to go ahead and start off by not jumping straight to your question because the question that you asked has to do with sacred timings. And the timings, typically, I read that after I've read, that's like the third reading I would do. So the first reading has to do with life intentions. I call it the Four Corners reading, sort of getting oriented to this map of the sky from the Earth's perspective, the moment you were born. And that little X would be you on Earth. And this is a snapshot of the sky the moment you were born. So we'll go ahead and cover that, and I'll come back later and do that sacred timings reading for you. So before we start, I like to call in sacred space, ask you to have a pen ready and some paper to take notes. And let's call in the element of earth for grounded support while we're learning something new. Call in water for clear, fluid, emotional currency. Calling in the element of air for that divine inspiration that travels through the wind and the way that air connects us through the breath to all living, breathing beings. And then calling in fire for that inspiration that lights us up and brings us to action. And then also calling in the elements of the whole celestial bodies and everything that we're going to be working with astrologically in this first reading. So we start off by looking at the moon, and the moon gives us clues about your lineage. You have your moon over here in the sign of Pisces, and you have a lot of things, important things in the sign of Pisces. Important because they're all personal planets, and I'll explain that more as we go along. But the moon in Pisces would say that your specific qualities and traits and mastery level has to do with being empathic, being intuitive, sensitive to everything. It's like the way that I call Pisces is sort of like that, those invisible threads or tentacles of energy that is running through everything. And I often like to call it the glue that holds everything in the universe together. So having a Pisces moon makes you really dialed and tuned into that. Carl Jung would call that the collective unconscious or the collective consciousness. But basically what it is being psychically attuned to the vibrations of everything on the planet. Everything conscious, everything unconscious. It's just being super sensitive and dialed in. So Pisces moon would make you as a child be somebody who wanted everybody to be healthy and happy, and is just by virtue of being born going to be sensitive, loving. The thing I don't know the word for it, but like going out of your way to help and heal people in your family. And it's sort of like a way to have yourself feel better. It's like, okay, I'm in this situation. First of all, the Pisces moon will know the situation. So you go into a house and you get the vibe. You're feeling the vibe. And natural instinct is to make it better because you want to feel better. And, if everybody else is feeling better, you'll feel better too. It's just how it is for Pisces moon. The next thing is the South Node, and you have your South Node in the ninth house, which is like Sagittarius. So this reminds me a lot of Jesus, and this is the second person from that retreat we were just at who had this exact same thing, and it was the other person was also a male. And I call this the Jesus complex because it's sort of Sagittarius job in the Pisces tribe, the Pisces being your moon position. The Sagittarius job wants to evolve consciousness, expand, evolve, paving the way for exploration, and wanting to like massively uplift, upgrade, evolve and expand consciousness. And with that Pisces moon, it's in a very loving, healing, empathic kind of way. So this is your lineage. This is something that you don't have to spend any time on, meaning that you don't have to try to do it. You don't have to, it's just what it is. It's like your natural tendencies. Now what we want to do is move into our rising sign and the North Node. So the rising sign for you is in Taurus, just like me. We have that same thing. And another funny thing is that we both have the rising next to Chiron. So this is a really interesting and unique, it adds a new flavor to your rising sign, which I'll get into that a little bit more later. This is what you're learning about, the school of Taurus. So the rising sign is what we've signed up to learn about. We pretty much suck at it to start off with, and everything in our life is us trying to or attempting to move more into these traits. So Taurus as a rising sign, it's learning how to receive pleasure, learning how to be in the physical body and feel good. So there's a back and forth between either being too much of a sloth and being fully just indulgent in food and drinks and wine and drugs, whatever. It's like if a little bit feels good, I'm going to go all the way into it and feel really good. That's sort of a Taurus thing. And then the other side of that is being completely cut off from pleasure and being like an austere monk. I don't know about you. I've done both. And that's something that a Taurus rising would do. It will go to both extremes in its pathway to find that balance in the center. The center for Taurus rising is knowing what is going to bring the maximum amount of pleasure with no pain. That's the valid pathway for Taurus rising, how to have the most amount of pleasure. And then bringing in your North Node into this story, you have third house North Node. So we would call this the Gemini Job in the Taurus tribe. So within this tribe of Epicureans who are just experiencing pleasure and good food and good wine and good music and being fully embodied, your specialty is the one who is bringing fun, bringing play, being a trickster, being naughty, kind of having those gnarly jokes that may be considered like sick humor in a way. That is the Gemini Job. So, lots more I could say about that, but I'm going to move on. So if you have any questions, just feel free to ask at this point. Gemini Job in the Taurus tribe. Now we're going to look at your inner feminine and your inner masculine, starting with the masculine. So this is Carl Jung again, the sword you carry. And so how do you carry your sword? What is it that gives you that bravado and makes you want to project your energy out into the world? And you have Mars in Pisces, which again, empathic, loving, sensitive. So if you're astrologically showing up as a man, your way of showing up is going to be that deep eye contact, penetrating eye contact, listening to the person who's talking to you, maybe even offering your feeling about what they're saying, going out of your way to love. It's like, I don't know if you ever saw Brother Bear, but the guy gets his totem, and his totem is the bear of love, and everyone's kind of teasing him. But love, as your masculine essence, is really the most powerful, as you probably know, the most powerful thing of all.